Hey everybody, welcome back to Huge Sports and welcome back to the Miami Minute. The Dolphins have fallen to the Bills 48-20. Let's just get into it. Last year, each game was close. This year, not off to a great start in this renewed rivalry by any stretch of the imagination. Credit to the Bills, they played an amazing game. Offensively, they were basically unstoppable. They were number two offense coming into this game based on how it went. I believe they probably did pass the Dolphins in terms, at least, of scoring. It is funny, if you look at the box score, things are not too dissimilar there. For the Bills, of course, Josh Allen led the way with 320 yards, 4 touchdowns. Latavius Murray, 32 on the ground. And Stephon Diggs, 6 receptions, 120 yards. Over for the Dolphins, Tua had 282 yards and 35 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. A-Chain had 8 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Tyreek Hill 3 receptions for 58 yards. The total yards weren't too dissimilar. 393 for Miami, 414 for Buffalo. Passing yards 251 to 310. Rushing yards 142 to 104. The Dolphins in the second half moved the ball. They could not score, and the Bills let off the gas in the second half. That's really why there isn't a greater disparity, because the game started off very well. They were trading shots 7-0, 7-7, 14-7, 14-14. Then the Bills scored 21. Then they scored 28 on a great play by Stephon Diggs. He had such a huge game. He was putting Kader Kohu in a blender, as it were, with his 3 touchdowns. But the 55-yard touchdown was really what would end up being the nail in the coffin, what would end up shifting all of the momentum to the Buffalo Bills. So he still got it. They're such a dynamic duo, Allen and Diggs. And it's just disappointing, because we brought in Vic Fangio hoping to field a defense that could contain this Buffalo offense and in the future, perhaps, the Kansas City offense, but primarily this Buffalo offense being in our division. First attempt, not very good. Yes, we're missing Jalen Ramsey. Yes, even Eli Apple didn't play today, but they barely slowed them down. They barely did anything. Offensively, it wasn't horrible. 3 touchdowns. They could have had a fourth. It was called back. They probably could have scored again when they got into the red zone, but because they were trailing, they were just throwing it instead of running it, which is what got them down the field. And they failed on 4th down. So they could have had more here, which, 34 points would have been better. 35 if they don't go for 2 and they do score again. But, yeah, an ugly performance, a failure across the board for the Dolphins in what was really a prove-it game as early as the 4th game of the season seems for a game like that. I really wanted to see the Dolphins come out here and say, hey, we have a lot of hype, and that hype is warranted. We are the kings of the AFC East, and as for now, that title remains with the Bills, who are 3-1 atop the AFC East. Now both teams 1-1 in the division, and of course the Buffalo Bills will have the tiebreaker at the moment over the Dolphins in head-to-head. Silver lining, we get them last week of the season. So if we stay even with them from now until then, which of course, who knows, so much will happen between now and then. But if we do, we will have a shot to defeat them for the AFC East. But yeah, a disappointing game, especially coming off that 70-20 game, which I'm sure the Dolphins were feeling themselves. I know as a fan, I was feeling the Dolphins. I was like, wow, maybe this is an offense that's so revolutionary that it can't be stopped. But it was pretty well stopped today by McDermott and the Bills here. Shout out Matt Milano. While I don't like him as a player, he played an amazing game today. Really carried that Buffalo defense and stopped the Dolphins in their tracks. So shout out to him. Probably the biggest headline of this one for the Dolphins is Teron Armstead. He hurt his knee. We missed him the first 2 games. He was great last week, and now he's gone for half of this game, potentially for an extended period of time in the rest of the season. So that's That's going to hurt a lot. They had trouble blocking. I mean, what? Tua was sacked 2 times in the first 3 games, and he was sacked 4 times just in this game. Not a recipe for success. A lot of these sacks, too, were like on 3rd down, or they just completely killed any momentum the Dolphins had on their various drives. So very disappointing there. And just generally a disappointing outcome. I've said it probably 10 times already, but hopefully the Dolphins will get healthier on defense and be able to, compete with these high-flying offenses, and really just a terrible offensive game as well. Like, they should have been better at scoring. They should have put up more points after scoring 70. So not a great showing from him. And we go in to next week, hopefully, set up well to take on the New York Giants back at home. One of the other silver linings here is we had a couple of home games against not great teams in the NFC, the Giants and the Panthers, before we have to travel to Philadelphia to play the Eagles on October 22nd. So hopefully we can get things back on track in those games. If you watch the game, let me know what your thoughts are. Shout out to the Bills. They kicked the Dolphins' asses. I'm not going to try to front in any way. Bills are still a great team. Josh Allen played an amazing game. So shout out to any Bills fans who came and watched. Hopefully, I try not to get too involved in the rivalry outside of like fun, back and forth. I'm not a hater anyway. If the Bills come in and just destroy the Dolphins 48-20, then I'm just going to give them their flowers and hope that the Dolphins can get it together. So if you like this, please stick around to cover all the major sports here on Wicked Good Sports channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.